My name is Pierre Camille Destine. I go by PC Destine, that's shorter. I came to this country about, I'll say, 12 years ago. I was 10 years old, so I'm from Haiti. Grew up there, and then we moved there in 2010 with my family. And since then, went through the whole process of school and everything, and then graduated from college last year with my bachelor's in economics. And now I'm working full time in the real estate world, and I have different things that I'm doing on the side, and just really continue to grow and taking some time to reflect on the success that we're able to have and just talk about it,
Right.
And it's especially because we've both been in each other's life for a long time, and I feel like we're in a pivotal moment where we could really sit back and evaluate how far we came, where we are, and how far we gotta go, So what about you, like your background?
Kind of similar, my background is really similar to yours in the sense that I came from Jamaica about 10 to 11 years ago in search of better opportunities. My family and I once again came to the same school, and from there, high school, from there, university, graduated. So now I'm about to enter dental school in about 2 months. So it's been a journey to get here. We've been through a lot. I learned a lot about myself and about life in that time period. And I feel like it's a great opportunity to reflect on everything you've been through and to take that wisdom and kind of dispel it to anyone who's eager enough to listen.
And I want to touch on basically growing up. I always felt that I was different than those around me. I felt sometimes shunned or like an outcast, and especially with the values that I had, and I had to learn how to embrace that, because especially in terms of knowing that not a lot of people were like me, and I felt that it was always being attacked because people would say, "Oh, you're living a certain way. Oh, are you forsaking your childhood or your basically things that you're supposed to enjoy now?" Because we live in a world where everybody's doing things because are they really doing it because they love it or because they see others do it? So do you feel that you've really lost or felt like you didn't really enjoy your youth or enjoy things because you had to sacrifice, you had to choose your friends carefully, you had to do this, or do you feel very happy and satisfied with it?
I feel like I enjoy my youth a lot. I feel like, what people consider fun a lot of times is programmed into them without them even realizing it. So you have to ask yourself this question: are you doing it because you genuinely enjoy it, or are you doing it because you feel like this is how I've been told I'm supposed to have fun at this particular stage in my life? And it all comes back to knowing yourself. If you know what you enjoy, you don't enjoy, you don't feel pressured by society in order to do things a specific way to feel like you're having fun. I kind of look at it like a leaf. A leaf attached to a tree, it's not going to blow even when the wind's blowing it. But a leaf that has no foundation will blow anywhere the wind takes it. So if this is what's hot now in society, you're going to do that. That's what's hot, you're going to keep blowing back and forth. But none of it's really who you are. So none of it's really fulfilling you. Whereas if you understand, I know who I am as a person, and I know what I enjoy and I don't enjoy, you stick to that. And when you stick to that, you get to meet people who are also like you. And in that way, you make real, genuine friends.
Correct. And there's an old saying that says, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So if you don't have something or values that you stand upon, you're going to fall for everything, and you can't please everyone. You can't just accept everything in life. Not everything is quote unquote right for you. So you must understand, no, there's a certain path that I must embrace. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who internally they know they're supposed to be different, but they can't just muster up the courage to separate themselves. And I think we've been able to do that because we stuck to who we were since the beginning. Whether it was people were doing this, I wasn't doing that, in whatever way, I'm not gonna get too specific, but nonetheless, when you start embracing that, that's where you're setting up yourself for a level of success. And as two immigrants, many people like you said, it's an uphill battle already. So now you have to work hard, and things don't come easier to you. So we understand that life, in a sense, it's not a game. It's something to just play around with. There's things that are banking on this, and we have to learn to get to the point where we can just really work hard to accomplish your goals.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and like you said, life is always the uphill battle. You don't want to add on more stress that needs to be added on, you know. So much can be avoided by being true to yourself. Yeah. There are people that go through so much and suffer unnecessarily by trying to live a life that's not for you. Yeah. You know, and I'm not saying that you live a perfect life. Everyone is going to go through difficult things in life and hardships. I've been through hardships, you've been through hardships, everyone will. But the goal is to minimize the amount of difficulties you can go through. If something can be minimized, you want to minimize it. Yeah. And that starts with being who you are. You know, I can't stress that enough. Being who you are is the number one way to keep yourself out of trouble and to avoid unnecessary pain. You know, because we have enough going against us already. Yeah. That you want to streamline the process as much as possible. Sure. You know?
Based on like us being immigrants, because that's our background, you know, where we came from. You're Jamaican, I'm Haitian, and really taking advantage of where we've been. What advice do you think that we can give to other immigrants, whether they're coming in at the age we came in or even older? What advice can we give them concerning success, you know, staying on the right path?
I think that the number one thing to understand as an immigrant is that once you come to America, you're going to be bombarded with an entirely different set of beliefs, morals, and distractions. Yeah. And I think that the number one thing I would say is to make sure you remain true to yourself. Okay. You have morals, you have ethics, and you have to stick to those things, you know, to get where you're going. You know, America is something that it can provide as much distraction as you want, and if you fall into that pitfall, you know, it's very hard to bring yourself out of it. America is something that it's what you make of it. Yeah. You can choose to utilize America for the opportunities to be successful, or you can choose to utilize America for the distractions it has and all the fun it has. Correct. I think that an immigrant coming into this country has to understand that you have to remain who you are, and that you're fighting not only for yourself, but for the people that have sacrificed to put you in this position in the first place. Yeah. I think that having a level of perspective of how much actually went into this is going to really create an expectation for you to be successful. Yeah. A healthy level of expectation. Sure. Not an unhealthy level, but just understanding that someone was invested into me, that is going to make sure that I stay focused and remain myself. I think you made a great quote about that when you said, you are your parents' greatest investment.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I believe, that's one thing that I said one time is you are your parents' greatest investment, because coming with the background that we came in from, like we're coming from, our parents sacrificed a lot for us to be here. They sacrificed their whole lives, you know, they're not leaving their country as little kids. They're adults already matured, and they're giving that up for us for a better life. And when I think about that, how can I not work hard? Right. How can I not continue to take advantage of these things? And that's what really motivated me a lot. When I think about my dad and my mom, I'm like, no, their sacrifice cannot be in vain. And I think it's important for those immigrants to really start thinking that way. Yeah. Like, some of you guys maybe go through worse situations to get here, but take advantage. Don't come to this country and just be laid back and waste time. One thing maybe I want to say is, I think what's the biggest challenge you want to give to this generation? You know, like, I think especially the being young adults, because I think that many of them are looking for models, many of them are looking for different examples, and there's so much out there, especially on social media, especially a lot of different directions. They may say, oh, why is your way better? But it's more like, what advice, what challenge can you give them, you know?
The number one challenge I'll give to immigrants that are young, I would say, is ask yourself, am I being true to myself? And you know whether or not you're being true to yourself or not. Yeah. And my challenge is, if the answer to that question is no, I challenge you to abandon and reject all the things that you know are not servicing to you. Yeah. All the things that you know are pulling you in a direction that you shouldn't be going in. Yeah. That's the number one challenge. And from there, that's where the work begins. That's step one. from there, you implore all the different rules and laws that we just talked about, and you'll find yourself on a very good path very quickly.
Yeah, no, I think that's powerful. And to add on to that, I think it goes back to like staying true to yourself, challenging the status quo, understanding that things that they just give to you and tell you, don't just accept it for what it is, but look past that, look deeper, and understand that there's a different way. Stop romanticizing certain things in life and see the loss for what it is and align yourself with the things that work, and just continue to adjust if you have to. As you grow through life and you become older and you become wiser, continue to adjust. Continue to adjust in the way of your approach of things. And I think that the biggest challenge I can give them is is what you're doing working for you? I think that a lot of things this generation is doing is not working for them. Many of them are depressed, suicidal, lonely more than ever, confused about their purpose, confused about the things that they're doing. So obviously it's not working.
That's where discipline comes in. Once again, discipline breeds freedom. You know,
I mean, the disciplines are free
because a lot of the things that are ruining people's lives from a mental standpoint are things that they don't even really want to do, or the things that they've been told to do, or things that they feel like they have to do.
Correct.
You know, promiscuity, drug use, excessive partying, all of that stuff are things that if you disciplined yourself, you wouldn't find yourself in these situations to begin with. Because these situations are what lead to bad things happening. Yeah. You know? I always talk about this. It's not necessarily the action, but the energy behind it. Sometimes when you commit an action, you may say to yourself, well, what's wrong with that? It's just this or it's just that. But it's really the energy behind an action that really determines if it's good or not. Yeah. Because there's, at the same way there's certain things that are universal laws about successful people, you'll find similar traits with people that are unsuccessful. They all have things in common. Right. So you have to discipline yourself and say, look, the things that I'm exhibiting are traits that people who are unsuccessful typically exhibit. And by freeing yourself from that, you free yourself from the society's expectations. Correct. Simply by disciplining yourself and saying, I'm not doing this. Yeah. By learning what's not good for you, you're really freeing yourself from society's expectations of what they think you should be doing at X age, at this age. At this age, you need to be doing this. Oh, what? You're 20 plus years old. You have to be doing that. No. By having discipline, you move away from all of the distractions, and you're able to free yourself from the distractions and give yourself true freedom to be who you are.
You have to be accountable for your actions, because when you plan, if it doesn't work, then you're accountable for it, and people will shy away from that. But you must hold yourself accountable first before anyone else. We live in a world where people, especially men or etc., victimize themselves, saying that this is happening because of this, because of my parents, because of this. But it comes to a level where you're conscious enough now to know what happened to me maybe was out of my control, but I'm mature enough now to try to change the trajectory. Because you can't advance in life by making excuses, by saying, oh, maybe the government, maybe this and that. There are things you can't control, right?
I agree. And that kind of feeds into what I'm saying, because I always use this analogy that when people don't think they're the problem, they're really depowering themselves. Because when you can look at yourself and say, I'm the problem, in the sense that I can fix this, this, and this, you're really saying I have the power to be the solution. But if you constantly point to things that are outside of your control, this is the problem, or the economy, or this person, or that person, you can't control that person. So what you're saying is, I have no power to fix it, because if it's out of my control, I can't fix it. When you always look within first, you're empowering yourself to say, I am in control of my destiny. And then no matter what's going on around me, as long as I continue to work on myself and hold myself accountable, I can be successful. Correct. So sometimes I think that people think that they're really empowering themselves by blaming those around them, but you're really taking power away from yourself. Correct. And if you look within and say, yes, I'm the problem, but that also means I can be the solution, you find yourself being a lot more successful.
Correct. Start with yourself, looking at yourself. That's what they call introspection, looking within to truly understand is where I'm at right now something that I can change, something that I can do differently, then get to work about bringing yourself out of it. Many people, they blame external factors, but you have to understand, no, it starts with you. It starts with understanding that you have the ability to change your life and take advantage of it. And
your life should be like a lake. It has to be peaceful. And that way, if anyone wants to throw a stone in the lake and cause ripples, you know exactly where it's coming from. If your life is already like a torrent, and that means anybody adding to the chaos, it's impossible to tell because it's just blending in with everything that's already started. So I think it's important to be alone so you can take a step back and evaluate not only yourself, but everyone who you invited into your life. And in that way, you're able to kind of differentiate where people should be, but you also learn more about yourself, about what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, and then you're able to use those things in order to plan, in order to make a plan for yourself down the line.
I agree. And you're never gonna know who you are until you take the time to really separate yourself from the crowd, separate yourself from the masses, and take time to go into a time of introspection where you're really trying to figure out, okay, who am I? What are my values? What do I believe in? And what are my strengths and weaknesses? And then you capitalize on those, because you're not meant to live a life constantly surrounded by people, because that's a lot of noise. I believe many people, they are always around people 24/7. I know people who can't go a day without talking to somebody, and people don't text them all the time. Right now, I think maybe I'm growing too fast, but I feel so at peace when I don't have a lot of messages on my phone, because it gives me a mental peace. Now I can think about other things, and success. I think that's one of the core to me being able to be successful in the things that I've done, especially for you, is we learn how to be alone.
Of course.
We learn how to take time and really, because when you're alone, that's when you can really rejuvenate yourself.
Not only that, but when you're gonna find yourself alone, not lonely, but alone whenever you're working very hard. Because naturally you're not gonna have time to keep up with excellent relationships. When you have real friends and friends that truly understand and support your vision, they'll have no problem with you being alone. In fact, they'll encourage it because they understand that in order to reach another level in life, this is what it takes.
This is what it takes,
You'll naturally find yourself not really having the time and the mental energy to both put towards everything you're trying to accomplish and maintaining X amount of relationships. So, being alone has numerous benefits in terms of being able to maximize your workload and also being able to understand who you are as a person.
Who as a person. And I believe that when you're alone, it helps you determine a lot of things about your life, where you are, where you're trying to go. And one of them has to do with planning, right? Especially when you're alone, that's when you really get to take a step back and see where you are in life and how can you plan to go where you're going. And planning, as we always talk to each other about it, that it played a big role in where we're now.
We talk about where we are now. As soon as we started talking, we made plans. We made predictions past this point in our lives. We're just that we happen to be here now.
Exactly.
We've planned 10, 20, 30, 40 years ahead in our life, right? Of exactly what we want our life to be.
Exactly what we want. And I always tell people this: God is a creator, and He's given us, because we're part of His nature, we have the ability to somewhat also create our own reality, as long as it's within His will and boundaries that He has placed. And a lot of things that we're living now, we talked about it, we wrote it, and we planned it out since years ago. And when it happens, sometimes you're like, wow, we're actually doing this, but it's like we also forgot that we planned this and we put things in stone. And the reason why I'm trying to emphasize on this is because a lot of people leave things by chance. They leave things by, maybe this will happen if I just trust the process and stay here. No, you have to be proactive. You have to make a plan, because planning helps determine a lot about your life. Look at all the successful people. They didn't just get there just getting there. They planned it out.
You have to put days, weeks. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into years of work and planning. And that's all, it's kind of like a stool. A stool has 3 legs, and no matter how strong 2 of the legs are, if one is weak, it's going to fall over. So the laws that we discussed all correlate with one another.
Correct.
You have to use them in tandem with one another in order to really reap the benefits.
Yeah.
Being alone is going to help you plan.
Exactly.
Because it's going to cut out the distractions.
Yeah.
When you're unsure of where you're going in life, no one but yourself can help you figure that out. Mm-hmm. People can give you advice, people can tell you, good things, but at the end of the day, you have to self-actualize what it is you want out of your life.
Yeah.
And like you said, as long as it's within the confines of what the Most High has planned for us, we have the power to create the life we want for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So if you know this, you have to be willing to take the steps, make the tough decision, in order to put yourself in a position to succeed. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are scared of maybe cutting somebody off, or not doing this or not doing that anymore because these are things that they used to cope. Mm-hmm. But you have to be willing to take that step forward because you will never regret making that hard decision.
Correct. Yeah. And it's interesting because we're doing this because we're really trying to reflect on how far we've come, and we believe that we're going somewhere. And a lot of people have different opinions out there, and we believe, why not also us being able to share our thoughts, a different way of life and a different way of doing things, because people try to paint it a certain way. This is how you're supposed to do it, this is that, but what if this is not the way I want to do it? Mm-hmm. What if I want to go outside of these confines that they put in place? And when you look back and you look at the traits that we've shown, we feel that these are very crucial for someone's development. It even goes back to friendship, like you mentioned. Everybody's blending the different type of friends in their lives today. I think that not everybody's your friend, if we're being honest. People romanticize it, but you have to learn, this generation, you have to learn the difference between a friend and an associate and even an acquaintance, and put them into their own category. Talk about there are universal laws for success that many successful people follow, and one of them means accepting to be different. Mm-hmm. And again, just to be clear, success doesn't mean being rich, all this and all that, but to reach a level of success in your life, you must accept to be different. And we've done that well, and we could touch base on some of those laws like that successful people have, such as not only being different but delayed gratification, right?
Yeah, a lot of people, you always make a sacrifice, no matter which decision you make, because no one has it all.
Yeah.
So I feel like understanding the concept of delayed gratification and instant gratification and being able to differentiate between the two is one of the most useful skills you can have in terms of navigating this life. Because a lot of people have what I call fear of missing out, in the terms that they feel, if I give this up now, I'll never be able to get it back.
Correct.
When in reality, these things that you're so inclined and so desperate to do now will be here 5, 10, 15, 20 years later.
Yeah.
So I think that once you understand that the reward at the end of the road is so much more valuable than what you have in the moment, and you really apply that understanding, you'll get very far in life. It's a guarantee, because nothing great comes easy or immediately.
Exactly. You have to lose something to gain something. I believe it's a universal principle that if you're going to get to a certain level, you must be willing to give up something. So for delayed gratification is a big aspect of it, because you learn to put away pleasure for a period of time for a later glory. There are a lot of things pulling us left and right, especially with social media and things of that nature. So when we take the time to say, no, these things are not going away for the most part. Right? Traveling's not going away. So these things, like, we can actually put our focus on doing what we have to do and understand, who am I here to please? Am I doing this for the Instagram, for the post, or do I know the goal that I'm setting towards? And I think that as this generation, that's really what helped us, because we took the time to really understand this is where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
This is the goal for us. This is what we're trying to accomplish. And that helped us set in stone and in line, these are the things that I'm willing to sacrifice.
Absolutely.
Together.
And I think that the two kind of play hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in order to sacrifice something, you have to know who you are as a person. Because a lot of times people know they don't want to do something, but do it regardless because they want to fit, they want to feel like they're in a crowd.
Yeah.
So I'll tie that in with the concept of morals and ethics, and I'll tie that in also with being alone.
Being alone.
Because having strong morals and ethics by nature will make you more alone.
Correct.
Because when you have standards for yourself and you refuse to do certain things, or you know what's good and what's not good for you, you're going to lose people in your life. And that's something you should expect, and it's a good thing. Because by sticking to who you are, you know that anyone you encounter that chooses to come along with you is someone who's with you for who you genuinely are as a person. Correct. Not someone who's under a false assumption about what you believe and what you think is right. Yeah. So I think that in order to really understand and apply delayed gratification, it starts with sticking to your morals. Yeah. That's what's going to give you the strength in order to say no to this or say no to that and keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward.
Different things. Success comes with a lot of different things. Yeah. You could be scared of success because it means that you're gonna leave all your friends behind. Yeah. Maybe none of them are as talented as you are in a specific thing. So you're scared to really fulfill that because you know that it means that it's a whole different world for you and you're leaving it behind. Yeah. You have to be willing to move forward at any cost. Yeah. You have to be willing to embrace your destiny at any cost, because nothing's gonna bring you happiness like embracing who you were always meant to be.
Correct. Leave your place. Don't be afraid to leave your place of comfort and familiarity. And
I'll even say that that's a must. Like, you have to leave your comfort zone. You have to if you want to be successful. Yeah. You know, there is no success without discomfort.
Correct. I think we always hear people say, you know what you're supposed to do.
Just do it.
You already know. Like, you're seeking for all this answer. You know what you have to do, but it's all about afraid of doing it, because what if when I do it, it works out? You just worried about, I love what you said about the aspects you can't control. What if I do it, but then I lose this friend? What if I do it, but then I have to move? What if I do it, but then, people view me differently? And you have to examine, and no one else can force you or teach you how to do this. It has to be something you look within and tap into that to really step to the next level, because there are things that we can only speak about it, but you have to live it and feel it out yourself.
We can tell you, or anyone can tell you anything, but at the end of the day, it's all theoretical. Yeah. You have to make it practical, and you have to actually put it into words, and you have to pull that trigger. Yeah. Once you pull that trigger, there's no going back. So you have to go all in, and I'm 100% certain that you will not regret it. The life you are in now, it can be comfortable. It can be easy to be comfortable in mediocrity if you sit in it too long. Correct. But you don't even realize it until it's too late. Correct. Always, and that's because a lot of people don't examine their lives. They just let time fly by, and then by the time they realize where they're at, it's too late to make a change. Where they're in a position where it's very difficult to get out of it. Correct. Always be examining yourself, and that's gonna let you know, okay, am I on the right path, or am I slipping? You have to constantly be examining yourself every day. Every day you have to say, how can I improve? Yeah. And I guarantee you that you do that, before you realize it, you'll have made it further than you can imagine.
Correct. And that's what I say is, I believe that when you visit old senior homes, etc., and old people, one of the biggest things they'll tell you is regret is one of the biggest things they have, like, as you're older, even on deathbeds, right? Because they regret this, they regret that. And a lot of the things that people regret are things that they knew they should have done, but they didn't do. And I think that's what motivates me, because I think about, I don't want to be 60, 70, 80, and I knew what I should have done, but I never did it, because I have no one else to blame but myself. So your knowledge of what you were supposed to do will be the same knowledge that will condemn you at the end. So you need to take advantage of understand the things that I have to do now. Time is short. I don't know when is my last day. I don't know the life that I have, but let me take advantage and maximize that and fulfill my potential.
Live full, die empty.
Live full, die empty.